Desiree's Dream. Chapter 14. Going to School. As the sun cast a warm glow over the streets of Mobile, Alex found himself contemplating the inevitable march of time as he watched his companion grow up before his very eyes. Desi, now 16, had delicate features and a graceful demeanor that caught the attention of boys their age, and Alex knew that with their newfound means of transportation, it was time to address the matter of her education. Very quietly, Alex tiptoed down the alley past Desi's box with purpose in his step. Alex climbed onto his wagon and steered the mare westward down the oak-lined street. The clip-clop of the horse's hooves on the cobblestones clicked through the quiet streets as he traveled, the morning sun glinting off the marble pillars of the grand buildings he passed. Upon reaching his destination, a majestic structure with columns and an air of importance above them, Alex tied his horse to a hitching post and made his way up the long flight of steps. The vastness of the mansion-like building, emphasized by its lengthy, crowded hallways, each door a potential gateway to knowledge, captured the moment. With determination, Alex sought the one marked office, his boots echoing on the polished floors. The office bustled with activity as people scurried back and forth, the rustle of papers and the murmur of voices filling the air. An elderly lady, with a polite yet inquisitive expression, approached Alex and inquired about his purpose there. With a slow turn, Alex met her gaze, his eyes revealing his uncertainty. "Yes, ma'am," he began, "I'm here about some shulin. For my sister, you see." A slight smile played at the corners of the lady's mouth as she gently guided Alex toward a small office, her soft-soled shoes whispering on the wooden floor. Meanwhile, when she had returned from the store, Desi wondered why Alex was sleeping in so late, unaware of the plans for her future. The clink of fresh milk bottles echoed in the alley, and the scent of bananas and sugar wafted through the air as she prepared her favorite dessert. Suddenly, the wagon appeared at the entrance of the alley. "I thought you were sleeping," Desi called out, her voice carrying a hint of surprise. Alex's mind was already racing ahead to the following day's events, and he replied hastily, "I had an errand to run. Be ready by 8 tomorrow, we're going somewhere." With that, he disappeared around the corner again, the wagon wheels creaking as he guided Droopy towards the paper mill. The following morning, Desi stood in the alley, a vision in her light blue Sunday dress, the satin ribbon in her hair shimmering in the morning sunlight. The dress brought out the color of her eyes, and her silver earring sparkled as she moved. Alex stood transfixed for a moment before his eyes widened in surprise as Desi, with a playful twirl, lifted her dress to reveal her practical shirt and shorts underneath. "Alexander," she teased, "I'm always prepared in case we go to the beach or something." The wagon rumbled along the cobblestones, the rhythmic clatter of hooves sounding through the crisp morning air. Desi's curiosity piqued as they traveled between the large oaks down the street toward the school. Desi's excitement gradually gave way as they entered the iron gates of Barton Academy. When they passed under the archway, a sense of realization washed over Desi, and her eyes widened with a mix of wonder and trepidation. "No, this can't be right," Desi blurted out, her voice laced with panic. She looked pleadingly at Alex, sitting beside her, his face revealing nothing. "Turn around right this minute, young man." "We can't be here," she demanded. Alex remained silent, his gaze fixed ahead as if he hadn't heard her plea. Desi's heart quickened, and she felt a surge of defiance. With a swift movement, she sat up and grabbed Alex's arm, her small hand trembling. "I said, turn around, mister. You have no idea what you're doing." Alex's eyes finally met hers, his expression unreadable. He opened his mouth to speak, but Desi cut him off. "You'll regret this, I swear. I don't belong here." Before Alex could respond, the wagon stopped, and the sound of approaching footsteps filled the air. With her kind eyes and welcoming smile, the lady from the office appeared at the door, her face a picture of calm. "Welcome back, Alex. And you must be Desi. We've been expecting you." Desi's eyes darted between Alex and the lady, her mind racing. The warm scent of wildflowers wafted through the air, a sharp contrast to the turmoil within her. Alex gently gripped her arm and guided her from the wagon, his presence comforting and infuriating. "Sit here," he said, his voice low and soothing as he guided her to a worn leather chair in the corner of the office. Desi's once elegant dress was now a chaotic mess, and she smoothed it down, self-conscious, her eyes narrowing at Alex. "Don't you dare leave me here," she hissed, her breath hot on his face. Alex's hand cupped her chin, his thumb brushing away a stray tear that had escaped her eye. His touch was gentle, and his eyes held a tenderness that melted her anger, if only for a moment. I must go to the mill. But I'll be back," he whispered, his voice hoarse with emotion. He leaned in, his lips brushing her ear, and whispered, "Be brave, Desi. I'll make it up to you, I promise." Desi's defiance returned, and she jerked her chin away from his touch. "You'll regret this, Alex." "I won't forget," she spat, her voice laced with determination. With a heavy heart, Alex straightened and turned to leave, and Desi's eyes followed his retreating figure, her mind swirling with a mixture of emotions. The sound of the door closing behind him was like a finality, and she clenched her fists, her knuckles turning white. "I'll be back at 5, his voice carried back to her a promise and a farewell. Desi's fierce and unwavering voice echoed down the empty corridor, "You'll see, Alex. This isn't over." The lady, who had been observing the exchange, approached Desi with a gentle smile. She placed a comforting hand on Desi's shoulder, and her voice was like a soothing balm. "He'll return, dear. For now, let's get you settled. There's a young lady here eager to show you around." Desi's eyes narrowed, and she fixed her gaze on the door, her mind already plotting her next move. Desi rose as the student guide appeared, her movements graceful despite her disheveled appearance. She followed the student, her eyes never leaving the door through which Alex had disappeared, her thoughts lingering on his promise. The days seemed to stretch forever for Alex as he labored at the paper mill, his mind never far from Desi and the reception she was receiving at school. As he rode back toward the school, the sun dipping low in the sky, he braced himself for Desi's reaction, knowing she would have much to say about her first day. Rounding a corner, he spotted her, a lone figure on the steps, her silhouette framed by the fading light. She threw dried leaves into the air, her laughter carried with the evening breeze. Desi's face lit up as the wagon drew closer, and she ran down the steps, her burlap bag bouncing at her side. "Alex," she called out excitedly. His face was weary from the long day, and Alex raised a hand in appeasement. "I'm tired, Desi," he said gently. "I don't have the energy for fussing." Desi's playful demeanor softened as she took in Alex's tired features and dirt-smudged face. With a tender gesture, she rested her head on his shoulder, her arm linking with his. "I know I was difficult this morning," she said softly. "But Alex, I had the most wonderful day. I adore my teacher, my classmates, and recess. I even learned about the moon and planets." Desi's enthusiasm bubbled over as they drove toward the store, her words spilling out in a torrent of excitement as she described her day. "And Alex," she added, her voice eager, "I need chalk and a slate for school tomorrow." Alex listened, a soft smile on his face, content to let her continue. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warmth over the companions as they continued down the long street, their laughter and conversation mingling with the sounds of the horses and the gentle creak of the wagon wheels.